Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com in San Antonio, a house party turns deadly. We have more details on the fatal incident tonight. And in Victoria, a 20-year-old man is facing multiple charges and a $50,000 bond. The details of his arrest tonight. And in a temporary win for Texas, the Biden administration won't be able to continue to take down the razor wire at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Well, as you can see on our live camera, still cloudy, a little bit of rain possible overnight. But tomorrow, the big news is that it's going to be chilly, very chilly for the witches and goblins. So we'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
Today, a new deal was reached in the latest United Auto Workers union strike. The details of the tentative agreement up next. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Karina, Garcia. An argument at a house party in San Antonio turns deadly on Saturday. Police say an argument broke out in the front yard of a home. A 20-year-old involved pulled out a gun and started firing. A mother, father, and their 13-year-old daughter were shot. The father fired back with his own gun, shooting the 20-year-old and a relative. The father and his wife died of their injuries. Their daughter is expected to recover, as well as the gun and his relative. This incident is still under investigation. Victoria police arrested 20-year-old Gage Scott Mills. He is charged with theft of a firearm and 2 drug possession charges. Mills is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. And Hallettsville police arrested 20-year-old John Langberg. He was found to be in possession of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and a pistol. He faces unlawful carry of a weapon and 2 drug possession charges. And Highway 172 near Lawward was shut down this morning due to heavy smoke from an oil field storage tank fire. Both lanes on 172 were closed for a while. The fire was extinguished and the road was reopened. Now, a judge dropped charges against Lee James Norman in connection with last week's shooting in Bloomington. The charges were dismissed after a hearing with a judge last week. Now, the 2 other teens remained charged in this crime. And now let's shift gears and take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac, I'm excited. We have, can I say it now, Christmas weather now that Halloween's over?
Yeah, I think, you know, the Christmas decorations they put up at the big stores, what, 2 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
And now it's worth it because it feels like it, certainly going to feel like it for October. And for tomorrow night, we've got a big forecast because we've got cloud cover today and the chance for rain. The rain is going to go away overnight, so I think it'll be clear tomorrow, but it's going to be cold and windy. We'll talk about what the wind chill is going to be tomorrow evening for the big night. Well, stay tuned. We'll be right back in a moment. Karina?
Mac, thank you. Survivors of the mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine are speaking out. 18 people were killed when a lone gunman opened fire at a bowling alley and bar on Wednesday. 13 others were hurt in what's now considered the deadliest mass shooting of the year.
I didn't think I'd get out alive, but I did, and I'm grateful. And many people didn't, and my hearts just go out to those families that lost loved ones there.
Jennifer Zanka is thankful to be alive. She was one of the many people who was injured in the Lewiston mass shootings.
I was shot in the arm, and it was a assault rifle, and it went through my shoulder. It shattered my humerus, and my bicep is kind of gone, and up and back here is too.
Zanka says she was enjoying dinner with 3 of her friends at Schmenge's Bar and Grill when the shooting started.
The horror, the terror was horrible. We all went to the ground. We crawled around a wall, but that's when I was hit, and I followed one of the other girls I was with. Someone asked me how I crawled. I'm like, pure adrenaline. It's horrific. It's just beyond what I ever could have imagined happening.
The retired nurse and mother of 2 children said she ran outside and hid behind a dumpster until police arrived. And it was a nearby neighbor who drove her to the hospital.
At that point, I didn't really think I would make it. I knew I was hit, and I thought I was bleeding pretty badly.
Jennifer says all 3 of her friends made it out alive. She says she refuses to let this tragedy define her life or cause her to live in fear. And she says the outpouring of love she's received from the community has been heartwarming.
It's overwhelming, you know, and the Lewiston community, and it's indescribable, really. In some ways, I'm so thankful, but in some ways, I just I'm so sad for the people that aren't here with us anymore. Like, I made it out and just never thought it could happen here in Maine.
After a 2-day search, the mass shooter was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound Friday. His body was discovered inside a box trailer belonging to a recycling facility where he was recently fired. The investigation into the motive is still ongoing. Jury selection in the trial of the woman accused of murdering pro cyclist Anna Mo Wilson started this morning in Austin. Caitlin Armstrong was charged in Wilson's death. She pleaded not guilty in July of 2022 with her arrest and plea following a 43-day fugitive hunt tracking her from Austin to Costa Rica, where she was found and arrested. She faces a first-degree murder charge and again has pleaded not guilty. She faces up to 99 years in jail if convicted. A federal court judge granted Texas' motion to temporarily stop the removal of the wire until a preliminary injunction hearing is held. Last Tuesday, Attorney General Ken Paxton sued the Biden administration, claiming federal agents were destroying state property by cutting wire in the Eagle Pass area. He said the federal government was using machinery to dismantle the border barrier installed by the state of Texas. The temporary restraining order expires on November 13th. But could be extended by the court. General Motors and the United Auto Workers Union have reached an agreement. This comes about 6 weeks into the workers' strike and just days after the union expanded the strike at the nation's largest automaker. In Texas, nearly a week has passed since the United Auto Workers Union expanded its strike to include the General Motors Arlington plant. It's the largest GM plant in the country with 5,000 workers. The union members there are demanding their fair share.
Despite the rain, cold, and wind, these GM workers spent their Sunday on the front lines of the stand-up strike, a nationwide strike for better pay and benefits for workers at America's big three automakers, GM, Ford, and Stellantis.
We haven't had a raise in years. We've been giving and giving and giving, and now I think they should consider us.
Gloria Dennis Thomas has worked for GM for almost 40 years. She'd like to retire, but she just can't.
And people with 30 and 40 years, sure, they want to retire and go on out, but everything is so high, and we do need a raise.
The union says GM's latest offer failed to give workers a fair share of their record profits. This week, GM reported $3.5 billion in third-quarter earnings.
We work so hard to produce quality and quantity for GM.
GM called the expansion of the strike to the Arlington facility, quote, unnecessary and irresponsible. On Sunday, UAW President Shawn Fain outlined a tentative deal the union made with Ford.
For every member, the money will be significant. For many members, it will be life-changing.
The tentative deal with Ford includes a 25% increase in wages for Ford employees and a 150% raise for Ford temps and a cost of living adjustment. These striking GM workers want GM to agree to some of those same benefits
so that we can get back to work.
This tentative deal will last 4 years and 8 months and include 25% general pay wages and cost of living adjustments. Combined, they bring the wage increase to over 30% over the life of the contract. This deal was announced today. Now, a trial date for Attorney General Ken Paxton's long-running securities fraud case was set for the date of April 15th. Paxton is accused of defrauding investors who were backing a company in 2011 when he was a state lawmaker. In 2015, Paxton surrendered to authorities on 2 charges of securities fraud in excess of $100,000. He was also charged with a 3rd felony for advising or representing investors without properly registering. Paxton will face a long prison sentence if he is convicted. In this Texas constitutional amendment election, Proposition 8 authorizes the creation of Broadband Infrastructure Fund. Proposition 8 would create the Broadband Infrastructure Fund to develop and expand access to high-speed internet across the state. Now again, Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th. And you can vote early in the Victoria County all this week. The hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesday, and extended hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday. You can vote at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center, 2805 North Navarro, Classroom A. And pet adoptions in Victoria might become easier in 2024. The number of stray animals in Victoria continues to rise. In order to help reduce the amount of animals without a home, Victoria County Commissioners approved applying for grant money to hire someone to oversee pet adoptions. This position would promote, conduct, and keep track of all animal adoptions in the county. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller says this new position will be a positive step forward.
If approved, this would hire a full-time individual who would help promote adoptions of our cats and dogs. It's in line with one of our big picture objectives to increase adoptions within the community.
Judge Zeller says they should know if the county has been approved for the grant after the 1st of this year. And of course, the rising number of stray animals roaming the crossroads continues to be a problem without an easy solution. Mark Sloat, Director of Animal Services for Victoria County, tells us that his facility has only about 30 places to hold both dogs and cats, but is currently housing over 70 animals. He says that educating the public on animal leash laws and adoptions will help lower these numbers.
The biggest thing I can't reiterate enough is people need to keep their pets contained. It's a requirement of city ordinance that they be kept on their property. They have to be behind a fence or on a cable. And even out in the county, you can't let your dogs run. You know, they chase livestock and things like that. We don't want them getting hit by cars. And we wouldn't be full if it wasn't for loose dogs.
Now, if you must give up your pet, he recommends posting on social media asking for a loving home, or visit the Animal Control Service's website for other ways your pet can be adopted. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. U.S. leaders are concerned about the Israel-Hamas war expanding in the Midwest. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, what other leaders are saying about the conflict in Gaza. Also ahead, there's still no deal in the actors' strike against major producers in Los Angeles. Nations Security Council is holding an emergency meeting Monday. Leaders are seeking a resolution to call for a, quote, immediate humanitarian pause in the war between Israel and Hamas. Israeli airstrikes have damaged Gaza. Israel is also accused of purposely launching attacks near the second largest hospital in the Gaza city. The UN says civil order is shrinking, and U.S. leaders believe this war in the Mideast could expand. As of Sunday, the death toll is more than 7,900. 59 aid trucks are waiting on the Egyptian side of the Rafah border, crossing with Gaza to undergo security checks Monday morning. The UN says if they cross, it will be a significant increase in the number of daily aid trucks entering Gaza, but it'll still be short of roughly 455 trucks that used to enter daily. Israel imposed a complete closure on Gaza from the two crossings it controls in response to the October 7th Hamas attack, leaving the Rafah crossing as the only entry in the Strip. Several Democratic lawmakers are urging the Biden administration to require private health plans to fully cover the first over-the-counter birth control pill in the U.S. This pill was approved back in July, making it the first non-prescription daily birth control pill approved in the state. It's expected to be available in stores as well as online. At least 12 Senate Democrats sent a letter calling for federal agencies to ensure that private health insurance fully covers this medication. And Texas will soon have 4 new maternal health research centers to help with the state's maternal mortality. You can read this story by the Texas Tribune on our crossroadstoday.com website. More than 37 million people are living with diabetes in the U.S. It's a chronic disease that affects how your body turns food into energy.
It's a common disease, but millions of Americans may not even know they have diabetes, even though early detection is critical.
As soon as you can have the diagnosis made, the sooner the proper treatment can begin.
Diabetes can damage the eyes, kidneys, nerves, and heart.
If you have high blood glucose, you're more likely to have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And those 3 factors, either independently and certainly working together, can damage the small vessels in our bodies.
You can prevent diabetes-related health problems by taking charge of your health. That includes adopting healthy lifestyle habits like a sensible diet. Physical activity and getting adequate sleep is also important, as is managing stress and taking medicines on time.
Smoking also has a detrimental effect on your small blood vessels. And so, especially with people with diabetes, we want to suggest that they try to stop smoking.
Experts say small health changes over time can make a big difference and may not be as overwhelming.
You could begin to make choices that you are more likely to stick to.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
After a weekend of negotiations, the actor union and studios still have yet to reach a deal to end the strike. SAG-AFTRA members continued picketing outside Walt Disney Studios in Los Angeles Monday. Actors were on strike for more than 100 days. The union's demands include general wage increases, protections against AI, and boost in compensation, among other benefits. The union says efforts are underway to schedule another set of meetings at the table.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's rather chilly, wouldn't you say? Cold front came in right on schedule Sunday night. Right now it's 46. The winds are at 15 sustained, but earlier, or overnight, they were in the 40-mile-an-hour range, so it's quite breezy, and of course that makes it feel colder. Our morning low was 50 this morning. Tonight it's going to be about 45, so the low is 45 and the high was 50. Tonight we'll be back down to the mid-40s. If that was cold for you, well, yes it was. Rainfall total didn't amount to anything, but we still have a chance for showers. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Do you have any trouble finding your winter coat? I hope you found it early this morning. It has been cold. What an adjustment, 30 to 40 degree drop in temperatures. We have a lot of cloud cover around here, and as you can see out to the west, we do have a few little showers just about approaching the city. Right about there. You see them right there. So within the hour, we should see a little light rain rolling through the region. There is a little bit heavier stuff a little to the north of us in the Hallettsville area, but by and large, this is winter rain. It's stratiform, so it's basically not, the big summer thunderstorms that pop up. What we have here is what we call an overrunning situation. The cold air came in with the front, and then above it, we've got warm Gulf air rolling, Pacific air rolling over it and condensing out and giving us that little rain shot. If we get anything overnight, it'll be less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. I wouldn't worry too much about it. The only thing you got to worry is slippery streets. And that's about it. Otherwise, it's not going to be a significant amount. Right about here is the heaviest activity just getting out of the Seguin area, headed somewhere over into Gonzales. So you're going to be looking at some heavier rain as well. Here's the big news. The freeze warnings are up for North Texas. This is the first killing freeze. Okay, so they're going down in all these counties, Dallas, San Angelo, and the west, down to 27 in most areas. So they'll be below freezing long enough to call it a killing freeze. So I hope they're ready for that. I'm sure all the fields are fallow, but whatever vegetation's out there is going to take a big hit tonight and tomorrow night as well, because some drier air is coming in. Here are the low temperatures. While we're going to be in the low 40s, right about there, everybody up here in the upper 20s and below freezing all the way down. So this is a big, shall we say, a turning point for our weather here in South Texas. In fact, all of Texas. The last time we were this cold was March 18th. Okay, that's the last time we were in the 40s. High temperatures tomorrow, well, they'll struggle to stay in the mid 50s. And of course, tomorrow is a big day. So we're going to talk about the wind and all that. So here's the cloud deck that's over us. There's the old cold front. You can see how the cloud deck will erode by tomorrow. In fact, by tomorrow evening, it could be gone. That's Tuesday night. We have another front that's coming down. It's not really going to hit us, but it's going to continue bringing in the dry air from the north. That's why we're going to be cold for about 3 days before we start the warming trend, and the warming trend will be fairly nice as high pressure kicks back in. Mariners and boaters and fishermen, do be cautious. We got a small craft advisory. Rough bays and seas are up to 4 to 6 feet because of the offshore wind. For those of you in Port Lavaca, we've got cloud cover and breaking by afternoon, 48 in the morning and 57 in the afternoon. And then for Cuero, 46 in the morning, 56 in the afternoon. We've got cloud cover in the morning. After lunchtime, we start seeing a little bit of sun as the cloud deck pulls away. Now, I've called it an alert day for Tuesday. Why? Because all of you are going to have to consider how to dress the kids. Because the wind chill, not the temperature, but the way it feels with the strong wind, is going to be between 43 and maybe 38 degrees. So you need to really bundle up the kids. Earmuffs, gloves, and candy. Don't forget that. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code, and we'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, the federal government is investing more money to fight against hate crimes. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 512 points, the S&P 500 up 50 points, and the Nasdaq up 147 points. Oil down $3.23, closing at $82.31 a barrel. The DOJ has announced $38 million in grants to help communities fight back against hate crimes. This comes as threats increased against Jews, Palestinian Muslims, and Arab Americans since war broke out between Israel and Hamas. The grants include more than $8 million to community-based organizations, $17 million to state and local law enforcement, and $2 million dedicated for hate crime prevention efforts. Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, a coastal community in California channeled their Halloween spirits over the weekend. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
This week, the Maine massacre, how the communities are coping, plus the hostages in the hands of Hamas, where negotiations stand as the war rages on. More Americans turn to the most watched newscast on television. World News Tonight with David Muir.
Coastal community of Morro Bay, California got in the Halloween spirit Sunday. The costumes of choice, witches and warlocks. They ditched the traditional witch's broom for paddle boards and kayaks instead. The yearly event is free and open for anyone who would like to participate or simply watch. The witches paddled started in 2013 as a birthday celebration, but it's now an event that attracts hundreds of people. Look at them out.
Paddling witches.
Yeah, paddling witches. Well, I was gonna say pirates, but I guess pirates would have made more sense, no?
Well, it would have, but you know, but Halloween, it depends on who picks the costumes.
Yeah.
But witches on surfboards, that's kind of interesting.
I like it.
You got to say it.
Yeah.
What do? They fall in.
They
They get their broom and fly out. Oh,
Yeah.
they can
Yeah,
steer
it away.
the thing with this broom. Yeah.
This is going to bring us to your viewer poll. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, do you plan to dress your pet for Halloween?
Your
yes or no? Do you plan to dress your pet?
I don't have him with me, but I would.
Do you guys usually do?
I would do it, yes.
See, back at home, Bambi, we just put 2 horns on him and he's Bambi, you know?
Bambi with horns.
Hey,
There
Bambi
you
with
go.
horns. Well, come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And don't forget, we want to see those pet photos, so
Absolutely.
submit those in.
That'll be the best part.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some good ones and blast them on air. That'll be
bet.
fun.
Well, the important thing is that tomorrow it's going to be windy and cold, and in the evening when the kids are going out, the wind chill is going to feel like 40 degrees. So 2 costumes or warm-ups and something on top. Just consider to keep the kids warm because those little costumes are not going to be enough to keep them warm. Some may need gloves and some may need earmuffs, depending on how sensitive your kid is. But just consider that. That's why we have the alert day, because everybody, if you're going to go out, the kids will be trembling if you don't bundle them up properly. And then Wednesday, Thursday, we're still clear and rather chilly. And then we start warming up as we get to the weekend when we'll be back into the 80s, okay? That's it from the weather front.
All right, I'm not complaining about 80s.
It'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Good. But it was like a real adjustment when that front came in, huh?
Oh, today? Yeah, for sure. I'm freezing. I have friends up in Colorado that were like, oh, that's shorts weather.
Nothing.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.